Hello guys, today I want to make a video. It has something to do with the shooting in Orlando, Florida, and what just happened today was really sad. And my prayer goes to the family and every victims. And this morning I woke up 6 a.m. and watched the news, and you know how news say one thing and then they say another thing and another thing. So it's all a cover up. I believe so. It's a cover up. Remember when ISIS said they were gonna attack, and I believe they are attacking, but the news is trying to cover everything and just feed us lies. So Obama's supposed to give a speech today, and every time he gives his speech, he talks nicely, and people always falls on his trap. So I want to show you something this morning. I have a Bible app that I get a verse every single day, and this is the verse that I got. It's Psalms 50 verse 21, and I would like to read that to you. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. This reminds me of Obama. Uh, uh, um, you know how he talks really nicely and everything, and he seems like a good guy, a nice guy, but his heart is war. If you look at Syria, if you look at all these countries, it's just destroyed, and this is what Obama is, and I believe that's what he is right here. Now, I think that verse is actually towards President Obama. Now, I want to read you the English Standard Version. I picked this up on Google. So, his speech, now, it doesn't say his words, it say his speech was smoother than butter, but his heart was war. And it's true. It's a lot of, this country has been divided because of the president of the United States. It's been 21 mass shooting under Obama, the most ever of any president. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Now, this is also an antichrist. So, this is supposed to be the antichrist. I'm not saying that Obama's an antichrist, but this verse actually matches Obama also. He gives his speech. On. So he gives his speech, and this verse right here, I believe, is what goes to Obama. So this is Psalms 55, chapter 55, verse 21. Now, what's going on in the news is so sad. Let's see what it's saying in the news.
Yeah, and that's interesting. Is that there has to be an element in order for the terror to fit of broadcasting the allegiance or the terror.
Immediacy, in effect.
It's propaganda of the deed. Terrorism is propaganda of the deed. It's not just words, it's getting the message of fear out there as broadly as possible. And in the age of social media, that's a weapon system for the terrorists.
Are we doing a decent job shutting down social media, internet, some of these ISIS sites? Do you think there's
we're making some progress, but I think the main thing is we've got to learn to use the data and the information in such a way as to see patterns and to see where people are headed. And it's difficult to do that without conducting the systems, the GPSs on people's cell phones and so forth in such a way that you can keep track of who they are that are behaving in a certain way and where they're going. We do want to protect civil liberties, but sometimes, especially in wartime, liberty and security conflict. And our Constitution is structured in such a way that we can make those choices. And if we make a choice for security and have to go a little light on liberty for a time being, we can get our liberty back. That's happened in wartime before. It's happened during the First World War and otherwise. We've got to pay attention to what the terrorists or potential terrorists are doing and where they're headed and get in front of them, not bring up the rear.
ISIS already warned us.
Still don't have the 2-minute warning from the White House about the president's address.
They already warned us. This
Pushing
only
back to
happens in Britain
155.
and
I
America.
talked about some of the social media saying they're sick of hearing that.
But
this
you don't
is a
see this in
tragedy
China or
in
Russia.
Orlando. My mentor and friend Britt Hume, also on social media, says, "I know the Orlando massacre fits the dictionary definition of tragedy, but the word seems weak today. Atrocity seems more apt." So maybe we will change that
Exactly.
that word.
That's very important, Brett. That's really important. A train derailment is a tragedy. A young child dying because of an illness is a tragedy.
Now remember,
The willful
I already gave you this
assault
verse.
against 50 people by a man who's pledged allegiance to the Islamic State. That is an attack.
21.
That is an attack against America and everything we stand for. So I completely agree with you.
So in
and
total,
your mentor.
mass
And
shooting
how
under
we talk
Obama is 21.
If we
So
talk about it, for leaders of this
21.
country and for anybody talking about all this is really important.
It's absolutely important because that's part and parcel of how
You
we
believe that?
win. The analogy to illness
Obama,
and medicine is
under
very apt.
Obama,
If
the
you
mass shooting under
misdiagnose
Obama
the ailment,
with
then
assault
whatever
rifle
treatment
in
you
the
provide
past 7
will
years
probably not
has
bring
been
the
21
result you
mass
want, so that
shooting.
person will not heal.
In the
If we
verse,
misdiagnose, if we say this is
21,
just a crime or it's
the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Atrocities for decades to come.
I was going to say the other element that jumps out at me is that really in the last 5 years we've seen this shift. to
I will be
so-called
back
soft
and
targets. And
you're gonna
just
see
within the
President
last
Obama's
few
speech.
months in Washington D.C.
Stood still. An attack in Orlando. 50
You go, President
dead,
Obama.
so-called.
Just remember that verse 21 that I showed you.
Mass murder
It's going to speak
in
of
U.S. 53 are in nearby hospitals around Orlando. The
21.
nightclub called Pulse came under attack shortly after 2 in the morning. We are told the suspect is a 29-year-old Muslim, Omar Mateen, from Port St. Lucie, Florida. We are hearing that he has pledged allegiance to ISIS in a 911 call before the attack, that he was heard yelling Allah Akbar during the attack as the gunfire was flying in that nightclub. The investigation is continuing at this hour. Earlier, we heard a man in Santa Monica, California, was arrested with weapons and ammunition and explosives, saying he was going to an LA Gay Pride Festival. That nightclub in Orlando, a gay nightclub, calls itself such, and it is the center of an investigation into ISIS inside America. We're waiting for President Obama
there he goes.
to brief reporters, and here he is at the White House.
Today, as Americans, we grieve the brutal murder, a horrific massacre of dozens of innocent people. We pray for the families who are grasping for answers with broken hearts. We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city. Although it's still early in the investigation, we know enough to say that this was an act of terror and an act of hate. And as Americans, we are
It's not an act of hate.
grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people. I just finished a meeting with FBI Director Comey and my Homeland Security and National Security advisors. The FBI is on the scene and leading the investigation in partnership with local law enforcement. I've directed that the full resources of the federal government be made available for this investigation. We are still learning all the facts. This is an open investigation. We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism, and I've directed that we must spare no effort to determine what, if any, inspiration or association this killer may have had with terrorist groups. What is clear is that he was a person filled with hatred. Over the coming days, we'll uncover why and how this happened, and we will go wherever the facts lead us. This morning I spoke with my good friend Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, and I conveyed to him the deepest condolences of the American people. This could have been any one of our communities. So I told Mayor Dyer that whatever help he and the people of Orlando need, they are going to get it. As a country, we will be there for the people of Orlando today, tomorrow, and for all the days to come. We also express our profound gratitude to all the police and first responders who rushed to harm's way. Their courage and professionalism saved lives and kept the carnage from being even worse. It's the kind of sacrifice that our law enforcement professionals make every single day for all of us, and we can never thank them enough. This is an especially heartbreaking day for all of our friends, our fellow Americans who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. The shooter targeted a nightclub where people came together to be with friends, to dance and to sing, and to live. The place where they were attacked is more than a nightclub. It is a place of solidarity and empowerment where people have come together to raise awareness, to speak their minds, and to advocate for their civil rights. So this is a sobering reminder that attacks on any American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, is an attack on all of us and on the fundamental values of equality and dignity that define us as a country. And no act of hate or terror will ever change who we are or the values that make us Americans. Today marks the most deadly shooting in American history. The shooter was apparently armed with a handgun and a powerful assault rifle.
Just like Sandy Hook.
This massacre is therefore
Assault
a further
rifle is the most
reminder
powerful weapon.
of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship or a movie theater or in a nightclub.
Under your Obama administration for
And we
7
have to
years.
decide if that's the kind of country we want to be. And to actively do nothing is a decision as well. In the coming hours and days, we'll learn about the victims of this tragedy. Their names, their faces, who they were, the joy that they brought to families and to friends, and the difference that they made in this world. Say a prayer for them, and say a prayer for their families. That God give them the strength to bear the unbearable, and that He give us all the strength to be there for them, and the strength and courage to change. We need to demonstrate that we are defined more as a country by the way they live their lives than by the hate of the man who took them from us. As we go together, we will draw inspiration from heroic and selfless acts. Friends who helped friends, took care of each other, and saved lives. In the face of hate and violence, we will love one another. We will not give in to fear or turn against each other. Instead, we will stand united as Americans to protect our people and defend our nation and to take action against those who threaten us. May God bless the Americans we lost this morning. May He comfort their families. May God continue to watch over this country that we love. Thank you.
President Obama at the White House briefing room saying that this is being investigated by his FBI